All right, welcome into Market Day Report. I'm Scott Shelby, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. June the 10th. Good morning. I'm glad you're here with us. Hopefully you got us up in the shop or wherever you're at, the barn, the office, anywhere. Love to have you with us and really appreciate you joining. Let's take a look and see what the overnight trade did in the grains, and we can see if we're going to get anything that's going to happen, anything decent here today. Let's bring up corn and see how that did overnight. I'm going to bring that corn board up, and we're going to say we're up between almost about 3 cents across the board. Why don't we take a look and see what 3 cents better in the July. 451 3/4 is last there. Just a tick off the high of the overnight session, so that's strongish, right? The new crop D sets up 2 3/4 cents to 470, and that's a half cent off the high of the overnights. Moving over to the beans, they were up during the radio show, and they still are. 5 1/4 cents higher in July. 11.84 is last there, and that's only 3/4 of a cent off the high of the day there, and we had a 10-cent range. Nove, it's up 2 1/4 cents to 11.60, and that's 1 1/4 cents off the high of the day there. And we had about an 8-cent range, right? So that's what's going on in the beanies overnight. And this is where we started to tail off a little bit. We were down 6.5 cents in July wheat. That's Chicago July wheat, down to 6.21 even. That's 2 cents off the low of the day. And we had an 8-cent range. Deese is down 6 1/4 cents to 6.70 and that too is down by about 2 1/4 cents off the low of the day. We're down 6 1/4, and we had about a 7-cent range there as well. So that's Chicago wheat. Let's take a look at hard red in Kansas City, where our next guest is hailing from right now. 11.5 cents lower there in that July contract. 6.54 1/4 last, 2 1/4 cents off the low of the day there, and we had about a 13-cent range. Not bad, right? Deese, that's down 11.5 cents to 6.88. And that's about 2 1/4 cents as well off the low of the day there, and we had about a 14-cent range. 13 1/4, I guess we'll say. Let's go from the hard red in Kansas City to the spring wheat in Minneapolis, and that's 7.5 cents lower in that front month to 6.87 even. And again, that's a tick off the low of the day there. And we had about an 8-cent range. If we move out to the Deese, that's 3 1/4 cents lower to 7.17. That's a half cent off the low of the day, and we had about a 3.5-cent range. So things tightened up there. Finally, let's take a look at cotton. We'll get to our guest analyst. Cotton is going to be 101 points lower. 72.83 is last, and that's July. And the Deese, the new crop, that was off 68 points to 72.21. All right. Let's bring him in. Brian Hoops, he's with Midwest Market Solutions. He's coming to us from Kansas City, Kansas here this morning, and he's paid up. He's got the Corner Hotel Suite, yes, 750 square feet, right? What do you got for us today? What's going on?
Oh, good morning. Well, as you mentioned, I'm out of the office, did some driving over the weekend and saw corn tasseling in parts of Oklahoma. Yeah, so a little very good-looking corn in Missouri on our way up to Kansas City. A lot of chest-high type corn, a lot of wheat that is ready to be harvested, golden and ripe and ready to go. And there's some that are in kind of the latter stages. So I don't think it's a real surprise that the winter wheats are the ones that are down the hardest this morning. They should lead us to the downside. I think you're likely to see a production increase this week in the supply and demand report from the USDA. Harvest is commencing and ongoing in Texas and into Oklahoma, and it won't be long before they're into Kansas and just keep moving farther north. And as that harvest progresses, you're probably going to see some harvest pressure against the prices here. As you know, typically we get bigger crops like this, it's going to weigh on our values as we're not able to export a lot of it. So a lot of our key export time is right after harvest, when we get that fresh supply of wheat and we can blend it a little bit and then ship it out. And it may be a slow go for us, as we've been evidenced by some of our inspections reports, the tenders from Egypt, and just some of these private sales just have not been all that strong for the wheat market. And so we're left with a wheat market that's probably going to build ending stocks this year. And that's going to, of course, hurt prices, and we'll have to find a price level that'll start stimulating some demand. So corn and beans, probably we'll see crop conditions, I think, for today for soybeans, the first ones of the year. We'll see additional corn, good to excellent. They should stay very high, and really nothing to really set us in one direction or another until we get into Wednesday's supply and demand numbers.
I mean, yeah, Wednesday supply and demand, end of month. I mean, are you expecting anything out of either one of those? I mean, is that our last chance for something bullish?
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to see really anything bullish in this supply and demand report. maybe in the corn. I think we tighten up ending stocks in the corn because our exports have been better than expected. So USDA could tighten up some of the old crop balance sheets there as far as exports go. I don't think they make any changes at all to new crop production. So this is going to be a fairly benign report. But as you get to the end of the month, as you mentioned, that planning report that and quarterly stocks, that'll be a very major report because their jury's out really. Are we adding more corn acres? Do we put some into prevent plant this year? And so that's going to be a question I think the market's going to come to grips with and give us some big moves at the end of the month.
Yeah, what I just don't like is the fact that we've played our one bullish card of the funds short cover. That's done. And now I don't like it when I have to put in my marketing plan that we have a bad weather issue.
Yeah, that's it's going to be hard because there's so much moisture in a lot of areas now. The subsoil moisture profiles are really built up, so we can go several weeks here with warmer and drier conditions. In fact, that would be desired for at least 2 weeks in the majority of areas. Then if we can get some intermittent showers, we could really produce a big crop this year. And I think that, if you're a producer, you have to be fearful that it'd be great to produce a big crop, but what are you going to do with marketing of that huge crop once it's harvested?
Yeah, I mean, hopefully you can make it up in bushels, but yeah, you're right. You got to be extra efficient this time around. That's for sure. It doesn't feel like we're going to see the $7 and $8 handles anytime soon. Do you?
Correct. I don't think that's in the cards this year. It doesn't look like it.
All right, stay right there. We're going to go away. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back and talk more with Mr. Brian Hoops. He's with Midwest Market Solutions. He's the president. He's on the road. He's taking the show on the road. We're going to be right back right after this. All right, welcome back. Let's see how we did on Friday when it comes to these meat markets, right? The proteins, whatever you want to call them. Let's take a look and see. We've got live cattle. Oh, boy, I almost forgot, but then I didn't. We had a very quiet day on Friday when it came to the live cattle. August was down 30 cents, 177.17 last. We had an up arrow in October right behind it, but just by one tick, 179.67. And we were kind of trading ticks as you went out the deferreds. One was up, one was down. So really nothing going on in live cattle Friday. Let's take a look at feeders. Well, they tried to gain back some of the losses they had on Thursday. And we had some better gains, but we kind of also slipped a little bit lower during the session. But we still did finish in the green. August is up $2.07 to $254.92, and we're up $1.50 in the October to $256.45. And then finally, let's take a look at lean hogs, and we'll get back to our guest analyst. And that too was also mixed. We had a July board that was up 52 cents to 93.50. August was unchanged, sharply unchanged at 91.67, and we were a dime lower in the October, 79.10. We call that a smorgasbord, right? A little something for everybody. All right, 60 seconds to Mr. Brian Hoops. He's in Kansas City, Midwest Market Solutions. What do you got for us when it comes to the meats?
Well, we expect show list numbers are going to be carried over this week. There wasn't a lot of cattle being sold, and feedlots were holding out for better money, did not receive it. So those numbers are just going to be put over to this week and trying to get a little bit more aggressive out of the packers to see if they will spend some of their margins that they have on these cattle. Now, cutouts were higher on Friday, so packer margins are probably about $21 ahead in the positive. So they do have a little margin to work with. It's just a matter of how aggressive they want to be this week in their kills. And so we're probably going to start off with 120,000 head kill day or so. We were over 600,000 last week. That's positive for the industries. We kind of need to work through some of these heavier cattle that are coming at us. But in the north, I think we're very tight on numbers, and we're going to, I think, see that at least steady money this week. Hopefully we'll get a little bit higher cash trade with the packer margins, in the black here, and they share some of that money.
Hopefully, we got Father's Day coming around the corner, 4th of July, and then football. That's all I care about, right? So
there you go.
All right. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much, Brian. Brian Hoops, he's with Midwest Market Solutions, coming to us from Kansas City, and I'll bring it back here to say good morning to Miss Tammy.
Good morning. Happy Monday.